Stigma Challenge. The video program is important. It gives young people the opportunity to express their feelings and learn more about mental illness, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. It has been a very successful program. Leaders also lead by example. One famous person said here a couple of weeks ago, do not underestimate the value of example. It is more powerful than 1,000 words, in today's world, 1,000 likes with YouTube videos. Which is precisely what Dan and Barbara do, by volunteering their time, their resources, the mental health causes, the anti-stigma needle moves. Barbara and Dan inspire and educate our community one speech, one sponsorship, and one personal story at a time. Every team wishes to have franchise players, pillars, to build your team around that you know is going to show up every night. Barbara and Dan are franchise players for this community. Positive impact on the lives of thousands of members of our city from all walks of life, religion, or background. Dan and Barbara also took the initiative, inspired by Barbara's own personal experience, to help mental health patients in crisis receive better care. Barbara had a family member who in 2015 needed emergency medical treatment for a mental health issue. Barbara knew what to do and took her family member for treatment at the Queensway Carleton Hospital Emergency Department. She received excellent care, but she felt the emergency facilities, which was from 1976, were really lacking for people with mental health issues. This is how she described it. The community has many people with broken spirits, broken minds, who cannot advocate for themselves until we give them the tools and space to heal, and until we treat them with respect and compassion. Already, psychiatric patients lose a lot of their dignity and privacy. When you add that to a facility that is dingy and dark, it doesn't help. The community better, kinder place for everyone than Dan and Barbara. So from all of us, thank you for everything you do, but especially thank you for your leadership in mental health. We're now going to take a look at that tribute video for Dan and Barbara.
Barbara Crook has fond memories of growing up in Montreal in the 1960s with her sister. But she also remembers it being a time when people didn't talk about mental illness. In the fall of 1961, Barbara's father, a warm, gregarious gentleman and doting father, developed severe depression. Struggling to find the help he needed, he soon found himself hospitalized with his illness.
I have a very strong personal connection to mental health. When I was 4 and my sister was 6, our father developed very severe depression. Nothing was working. He ended up in the psychiatric hospital in Montreal in the fall of 1961. And ironically, at the same time, my mother's mother, my grandmother, was dying of cancer in another hospital. So my mother didn't want us to know what was going on. She told us that Daddy was on a business trip, but she didn't tell Daddy that Nana was dying, and she didn't tell Nana that Daddy was sick. So she kept that all as a secret so that she could take care of us. And her mother died on Christmas Eve. And fortunately, my father did recover. He actually had ECT, that's what worked, electroconvulsive therapy, that's what worked on him. And but it wasn't until years later that I realized what had happened. And the irony was, he was the happiest, sunniest person I know, always a glass half full person.
It was through that experience as a young girl that Barbara was able to recognize similar symptoms in herself, and in her 20s decided to seek help. With the help of successful treatment and a loving family, Barbara overcame her illness, but it wasn't until later, when a friend became hospitalized with mental illness, that Barbara turned her focus to mental health advocacy.
All the talk that I did about mental illness and anti-stigma, nothing prepared me for leaving someone close to you in a closed ward, and knowing that they had to stay there because they weren't safe on their own. So that's really fueled a lot of my advocacy in recent years.
I guess I'm just a person that happens to be lucky to be able to give back, and that's huge. I think there's, you know, if you love the community that you live in, if you love the life you lead, I think if you're able to give back, even if it's $1 or 25 cents, $5, $1,000, whatever, I think it's a big responsibility to give back.
As widely recognized and respected members of the community, Barbara Crook and Dan Greenberg continue to use their profile to leverage awareness of mental health issues. They are also unwaveringly generous philanthropists. In 2012, they donated $1 million to the Royals Campaign for Mental Health and the newly opened Brain Imaging Center. With this and countless other commitments to projects big and small, this amazing couple illustrates what civic leadership is all about, making the city they call home the best it can be.
I think the whole idea of maybe inspiring others to talk about it and hopefully inspiring others to give from their hearts but also give from their pockets. So the Inspiration Award is a great name.
Presenting this award to Dan and Barbara is Ghislaine Boudreau, Senior Director of Medical and Regulatory Affairs at Otsuka, London. Please go ahead.
For 3 minutes. Guess who's going to do most of the speaking? Thank you so much, Daniel, for the introduction and the video, and for everybody here. I'll forget to thank a lot of people, but on behalf, thank you to Gregory Sanders for inviting us to the first Leaders for Mental Health breakfast we ever attended. I always joke that they wanted Dan, but they got me, and they didn't really realize that I had the strong connection. So thanks to everybody at the Royal, Tim Klug, on the late Andre Steele of blessed memory, Tracy Welch, all the gang who have made it, Nancy Stanton, all the gang who have made it so wonderful and so positive to be involved in this cause. Congratulations to all the other winners tonight. It's very humbling to hear the stories of people who have really suffered and who have deal with these struggles in everyday life, and that it's very humbling. That's the only thing I can say. This has been a very difficult week to be receiving this award. I got back from holidays on Monday and received an urgent email from a friend who is in a hospital, a psychiatric ward in a hospital against her will. I'm getting the emails and the phone calls begging me to come and get her out. And she's in an acute manic episode with many delusions and should not be allowed out. But it's this terrible dilemma that you face. You want to help the person, you want to be there, and yet you know that that person needs to be protected for their own good. So as much as we can talk about stigma and advocacy, the other thing that we really need to raise money for, to raise awareness, is to get more treatment for people in this city. I think...
Thanks to Daniel Alfredson, to Luke and Stephanie Richardson, and the DIFD campaign. We are the leaders, as far as I'm concerned, in Canada about defeating stigma and raising awareness. And the next step is to make sure that there are more beds and more treatment for those in need. And the Brain Imaging Center, which Dan and I got to tour recently, is the next great advance. For the next 5 years, it's going to be used for research. We're going to learn a lot more about the human brain and what happens with mental illness. And then it's going to be used for patients. So I really think that we are very lucky, and we've worked hard to be at the forefront of what's going to happen to make people better faster. Thank you to all of you for supporting this.
I think I have no time left. I'm not as good as Alfie speaking, but I am very humbled to be honored by this award. I thank everybody involved in nominating and recognizing Barbara and me, including everyone at the Royal. I want to dedicate this award to all those living every day with mental health illness. I also want to thank mental health leaders such as Belle, Daniel Alfredson, Stephanie, and Luke Richardson, and of course, my wonderful wife, Barbara. Last but not least, I want to dedicate our award to the late Andre Steele. Andre spent so much of her short life fighting for mental health. Many of us would not be here tonight without Andre's leadership, and I really wish she was with all of us here tonight. Thank you, merci beaucoup.